Hello, welcome to a new episode of Geek Lunch Meet. I'm your host Chris, as usual, and in this episode I will be reviewing the latest Godzilla movie, Godzilla Minus One. Now, this will probably be my last video this side of Christmas, so to all of you that celebrate, Merry Christmas. To everyone else, I hope you have a good festive season, doing whatever it is you do. I'd like to thank everyone that's watched the channel and has subscribed this year. Back at the beginning of the summer, I thought by the end of the year, hopefully probably get to about 500 subscribers, which would have been great. As it is, we are over 1,100 strong at the moment. So thank you to everyone that has subscribed. It's really fantastic. Really appreciate it. And going into the new year, I hope to grow the channel even more. So I hope you come along for the journey with me. And of course, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, helps us out a great deal, helps the video get seen by a lot more people. And if you've not already subscribed to the channel, why not smash that subscribe button? We'd absolutely love to have you. So Godzilla Minus One has finally hit the cinemas here in the UK. I think Japan had it a few months ago, America got it a couple of weeks ago, and finally here in good old Blighty, it's finally hit the screens. And if you've been keeping abreast with the goings on the interwebs, you'll know that it's doing great guns. It's become the highest grossing live action Japanese movie in America. It expanded to a lot more cinemas than it was originally going to be on, and has played for longer. I think same here in the UK. It's expanded to more screens, and I think it was only meant to play for a couple of days. It's still playing, and reviews have been pretty much universally fantastic. And now that I've finally seen the film, who am I to disagree? I absolutely loved the movie. It was some proper old school Godzilla, with a new sort of modern sensibility to it, and upgraded effects. And yeah, absolutely loved it. So the film is directed by Takashi Yamazaki, and it is essentially, it's like a reimagining. It's not a straight up remake of Ishiro Honda's classic original. But yeah, I suppose a reimagining is probably the best term for it. It's sort of like, it's a sort of new origin for Godzilla. The film is set in post-war Japan. And our hero is Koichi Shikishima. I apologise for the pronunciation of any of these names. I can barely speak English at the best of times. He's played by Runosuke Kamiki. And he's a reluctant hero. He's not your typical hero. He is a fouled kamikaze pilot. You can tell that he's fouled, obviously, because he's still alive. And he's sort of consumed with the guilt of that. He's got PTSD. His actions at the beginning of the film, there's a chance that maybe he could have stopped Godzilla when he was in his much smaller form on Odo Island, but instead the entire garrison of people get wiped out. So he's got that guilt as well. He sort of lost his honor. Obviously people know that he was a kamikaze pilot. The fact that obviously he survived shows that he did not follow through and do what he should have done, and sacrifice himself for his nation. We then have Minami Hamabi as Noriko Oishi. She's like a homeless woman. When Koichi comes back from the war, she basically attaches herself to him and a small baby that she's got, that she's basically been was left with when the parents were killed during the bombings as well. So we end up with this sort of makeshift family, if you will. And that's where this Godzilla movie differs from a lot of the others, and why it's sort of getting such critical praise is, for once, we're concentrating not just on the monster battles, but on the human characters, and we get to know all about them. And we care for them. So obviously, the more you care for a character, then obviously when when Godzilla turns up and starts rampaging around, then obviously the more you feel for them, and the emotional stakes are much higher. And Koichi takes a job to make ends meet as they're trying to sort of rebuild. All of the houses obviously are completely ruined. They're sort of like living in sort of in a shack on the ruins of his old house. He takes a job working on a small wooden boat. With a crew who are tasked with deactivating all of the thousands of mines that have been sown all around the Japanese coast during the war. And that is pretty much the plot. It's quite simple as it goes. It's the rebuilding of Japan. We're following these people as they're trying to rebuild their lives. When, of course, Godzilla turns up and starts, wreaking havoc everywhere, and they have to band together, to defeat him. And I've always said the best monster movies are the ones where you can take the monster out of them, and you've still got a great movie. Jaws, Tremors for me, even Lake Placid to a degree. You can take the shark out of Jaws, and you've still got Brody, Hooper, and Quint. They're fantastic characters, and you'd happily watch a whole film about them. Tremors as well. You take out the graboids, and you've still got Val and Earl and the residents of perfection, and quite happily watch a whole film about them. Same with Lake Placid. The characters are so funny. Watching a comedy sort of film about them, you don't even need the giant crocodile to turn up. Obviously, there's a place for trashy monster movies where you don't care about the characters. They're all one-dimensional, and all you want to do is you're waiting for the next scene where the monster turns up and rips people apart. Nothing wrong with that sort of film, but say the best monster movies, I've got characters that you care about, and this is where Godzilla Minus One comes into its own. I really loved all the characters and how they were portrayed. Say the crew of the mine-clearing boat that Koichi works on are all fantastic. The sort of captain, the young kid, and the doctor who sort of plays a bigger role towards the end of the film, coming up with a plan to defeat Godzilla. And again, talking about Jaws, it sort of reminded me very much when they're sort of out on this boat and Godzilla's attacking them and they're dropping mines off the back of the boat to try and stop him. It had that sort of Jaws feel to it. I don't know if it was intentionally shot that way. I suspect it may be. But yeah, really giving off that Jaws vibe, which, if you can replicate, that's, one of the greatest movies ever made. If you can replicate that in your monster movie, then, you're onto a good thing. It was just a thrill to see the Toho logo at the beginning of the film on the big screen. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. And the whole film just had a real sort of old school Godzilla movie vibe with a sort of, modern sensibility. There are some shots where he comes on shore towards the end of the film and is traipsing through some sort of rural areas. It almost looked like a man in a suit, the way they sort of done the CGI. And the way they used to film, the original Godzilla movies with a great big miniature set, and a guy in a suit traipsing across it. It really got that vibe from them, which was fantastic. And obviously that brings me on to Godzilla in the film. He's just an absolute beast. They've made him scary. He's unstoppable. He knocks down buildings. He's not even like intentionally knocking down buildings. He's just walking through stuff that's in his way, and there's nothing's going to stop him. I mean, director Takashi Yamazaki said they try and treat Godzilla as if he is a monster, but also a god. And you get that feeling, especially where his atomic breath is. I've not seen nothing like it. All the spines on his back. It was in the trailer a bit. Obviously, when they all start to glow, they also protrude out further. They all start coming out from his body and working their way up. And the sound is getting louder and louder, and then he fires his atomic breath and is proper atomic. When it hits, there's a mushroom cloud. It's like a nuclear bomb has gone off, absolutely decimating everything. And the cinema we saw it in, the sound was just so loud. That's what I would say. Go and see this on the big screen, and go to somewhere that's got the best sound system that you can find. The scenes of Godzilla rampaging and his atomic breath was just like a sort of sonic assault. Absolutely brilliant. Which leads me on as well to the music. Naoki Sato has done the music, and again with a sort of Godzilla as a god type theme. There's a lot like a choir, like choral, just voices in the background, rising, the ominous scenes when Godzilla first appears. They sort of reach to a crescendo, and as I say, when he's all his spines are lighting up and he's getting ready to fire his atomic breath, just builds and builds. Absolutely brilliant. And then when you finally see him in all his glory, you get the original theme kicks in from Akira Ifukube. And why not? When you've got one of the greatest musical themes for a character, why not go back to the original source and use it? And again, the music was pounding, it was loud, and just really added to the whole experience. Love the fact as well that in Japanese monster movies, it's almost just accepted that monsters exist. It would never surprise me if if in real life a monster suddenly come out of the sea and attack Tokyo. The Japanese people would just go, yeah, of course, we knew this was coming. So when Godzilla, the smaller version of Godzilla before he sort of mutates and becomes larger, when he appears on the island at the beginning, the scene just sort of plays out. Someone says, "What the hell is that?" And someone says, "It's Godzilla." And he says, "How do you know?" I said, "Oh, some locals told me." And that's just accepted. Yeah, the locals know. Yeah, there's this great big monster that comes up and wreaks havoc every now and then. There's no scenes of people discussing what the hell is this, and and other people sort of denying it that you normally get in these movies. The Mayor Vaughns of this world from Jaws, who will no, let's carry on as normal, and whilst everyone else knows that there's a monster on the loose. No, it's just accepted that giant monster exists. So yeah, I cannot say enough good things about Godzilla Minus One. It's exactly what I wanted. Ironically, before the film started, I read the trailer for Godzilla Kong, the new Empire, which I haven't spoken about. It came out, it was hit the internet a week or so ago. I didn't make a video about it because, quite frankly, I was having trouble thinking of anything nice to say about it. I must admit, straight off the bat, I'm not a big fan of Godzilla versus Kong. I don't think Adam Wingard is a great director. The Guest was a pretty good film. But yeah, his Godzilla versus Kong wasn't that impressed with. Obviously, it's definitely the least of the the legendary MonsterVerse films. And with the trailer, I say for the new Empire, it just looks like more of the same. But the villain is Scar King, who's this sort of big red ape again. It's like he's like almost like an orangutan version of Kong. Now the trailer is a slight spoiler. The trailer doesn't show. Apparently, there's another monster called Shimu, pronounced something like that. There were some leaks of some toys. It's more reptilian. It's like Godzilla, so he will be turning up at some point, no doubts. But just there's a scene where Godzilla and Kong are running along together, really fast. Godzilla, the effects work. Godzilla doesn't look like because he's running so quickly, he doesn't look like the giant beast that we know him to be. So yeah, it looks like something out of the Godzilla Kong Power Hour, that we would have got on Saturday morning cartoons as a kid. I like big dumb monster fun as much as the next person, but I really like what they were doing with Godzilla, Gareth Edwards' 2014 movie, and what that was doing, and sort of the more serious, as I now with Godzilla Minus One. Probably the biggest similarity between Gareth Edwards' Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One, the scene where they are jumping into San Francisco and all the smoke, and that music's got a big sort of choral part going as well. It's sort of very similar in tone. And Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV at the moment, is continuing that story and doing it in quite a sort of grounded, much more realistic approach. But Legendary have obviously chosen to go in a different direction with Godzilla Kong, the new Empire. All we can hope for really is there is some big dumb fun. Maybe there's some good action scenes to come out of it. Who knows? But yeah, if you are a monster movie fan, you owe it yourself to go and see Godzilla Minus One on the sort of biggest screen with the loudest sound system you can. It's not often we get Japanese movies like this released at the cinema. So definitely take advantage of it whilst you can. So that's it for me. As I said, thanks for watching throughout the year and subscribing. If you're not already subscribed, why not just smash that subscribe button and help the channel grow going into the new year. So from me and the big man, Merry Christmas. Take care. Until next time, eat geek and be merry.